So now you hear me again, right? Now you should be able to hear me. Let me test. It should be... I should be audible now, no? Test 1, 2, 3. Able to hear me. Yeah, certainly. It's just so dumb. Like, I'll show you. Like here. Okay. Like, if I take this... If I put this back in, you hear me again. It's just Jover. But I guess... Do you still hear me right now? Like right now, can you hear me? Is it possible? Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, you know, software. You know how software goes. I wonder if it will be audible on the recording. Interesting. But yeah. Software. Classic. It's so dumb. Okay. Is the music too loud? How's the music? Do you want me to turn it down a little bit? Software. I love technology as well. It always works as intended. It really doesn't. What's up, my good sir? Today we're going to talk about some juicy AD carry gameplay. I'm feeling a lot better, thank you. I hope you are feeling amazing as well. Okay, perfect. Because I'm asking because I'm splitting my audio into different audio tracks, and I want to make sure that on the recording you'll be able to just remove the music. So I just put my voice into another track. But it will be funny if it actually doesn't work. So yeah, we shall see. Will you ever play Aurelia? I played Aurelia a lot in the distant past, because it was a funny champion. There have been certainly streams where I played her, but that has been like 50 billion years ago. Okay. Okay. Let's start with the topic of the day. How to improve as an AD carry. Okay. What is the no, I'm not going to play. I only have time until 1 PM, like 2.5 hours. And then it's Jover for at least a few hours again. So, how to improve as an AD carry. Like, what is your role as an AD carry? It's deal damage. That's it. Consistent damage. How do you achieve this goal? What do you need as an AD carry to deal consistent damage? Number one, first and foremost, you need gold. In what way do you lose the most gold? Don't die. It sounds simple, right? It sounds so simple. Just don't die. But what else is important that we need to talk about, especially when it comes to laning? Okay, your relative positioning to enemies matters the most. Just because people are in front of you, like for example, this here is you, and this is two enemies. People be like, okay, there's two people, there's danger. But what if I told you you're wrong? Just because there are multiple people on your screen doesn't mean there's immediate danger. You have to categorize the things you're seeing on your screen into different threats. For example, I always take this example. Alistar. What makes this champion and what breaks this champion? His combo. What happens if combo is on CD? Is this champion a relative threat to you? Or is he just existing? And if he's just existing, what can you do with the next champion straight up next to the Alistar? Like 1, 2, and this is you. And how can you use the surroundings to your advantage to win fights? So with the Alistar having cooldowns, he basically is useless and can just run at you. So what does this mean in our heads? Rather than just letting him run to us, we drag the fight to a side where we can make sure that we avoid the Alistar's auto attacks, while being able to deal damage to the second target, which is the priority target. Because in many fights you'll be presented with high priority targets and low priority targets. Killing the Alistar, the tank support, is a very low priority, because if he's alive or dead doesn't really change too much in the later stages of the game, when the carries are much more impactful. And what's the point of this? Yeah, the thing is, you can climb by doing this, yes, but it doesn't make you a better player. Like, I can log on and play top lane and just run down side lane even without inting Scion and climb. Does it make me a better player? No. However, there's people, or are people out there, that have a personal interest in just getting better. Like, some people find enjoyment through improvement. And this is meant for them. And all the other people, you're more than welcome to play all of the things that will inflate your elo. I will talk. Okay. Let's just close this for a second. And let's talk about how to inflate your elo speedrun edition. Okay, Western server, MM issue, player population issue, like, it's a multifaceted issue, okay? We can all agree on that one. Most of the time, if you play ranked, you play versus Master GM, regardless of your own elo in Master Plus. So, if you're Chell, if you're Soph, you play mostly versus Master and GM. And now I just hit you with the real, with the truth. They suck. They suck. It's not meant to be mean or rude, they just suck. They should never be allowed to be in the same games as a Challenger and Sovereign player. Because they don't know what to do. Okay, what is OP against people who don't know what to do? Champions that scale because they're unpunished. So, for example, on the European server, there's one champion which has a major issue in the entirety of the game, and that is Kayle jungle. Kayle jungle is the perfect example of how to inflate your elo. Kayle jungle. Inherently not a good champ, weak early, mid game, strong late game. Every team jungler can literally stomp Kayle and put her billions of gold behind. I know it's mentally draining, so I'm just telling you the easiest way of inflating your elo. So we basically got this one covered. And Kayle is just one example of a champion, just one example. Okay. This one doesn't work on the Chinese server. People talk to people on the Chinese server and they ask them, why isn't Kayle played? She just gets shat on. So the question is, why is Kayle not shat on the European server? Is Kayle Are the European Kales just superior players? Or is the European ranked quality just so bad? Yeah, it's absolutely frustrating to play. So you have these champions. But how do they win? Nobody ends games knows how to end games. So for example, how do you play against a Kale? Let's say you don't even trust your teammates. You can invade after your very first clear all Kale camps on cooldown, because Kale isn't a champion. Every early to mid game champion kills Kale instantly. Lee Sin insta-kills her, Kha'Zix insta-kills her. But the issue is, if your team doesn't want to play with you, the Kale will be given time. And if the Kale is given time, she will eventually reach critical mass and then carry the game. Every game is +1 or -1, and you constantly face worse players. So for like, if I were to give you a list of things that are problematic, given this entire issue, we have Sona, we have Soraka, we have Kayle, Kassadin, he is way better, but still similar issue. Huh? All of these champions are happy. All of them are happy if nothing happens. And what happens in most of the games? Nothing. The same issue with inting side lane, or just split push. The best way to climb on top is to brain dead, run down, and push. And your champions for this will be Jax, Fiora, Sion, Garen. Who else? I mean, Volibear can do it. Like all of these champions, right? But these two here are very, very powerful. The issue with Morgana jungle is she isn't a hyper carry. Compared to the Kayle. Because the Kayle will start one-shotting. Because of Kayle, third ability is an AoE splash damage, and she does so much damage, plus having invulnerability. That is one of the issues. Plus you play against bad players, and Kayle has a movement speed steroid, which allows her to get close. So that's one of the issues. A very big issue as well. And since she is allowed to have DPS, because she has consistent damage with the way she attacks, she can basically kill teams instantly. And it gets very, very difficult to punish her later on. Like, you need to punish Kayle early because she's weak, but since nobody does anything because they don't know what to do, this doesn't happen. So Kayle completely goes off control. There are so many Kayle players that are climbing, they're playing like 500, 600, 700 games, I don't know, and they're climbing, and every single time you have them, they're completely non-existent, and the thing they are banking on is that they are playing against worse players, and every game is +1, -1, and you'll play against worse players more often than you'll play against good players, so you will climb. The same applies to this thing here. You just have Hullbreaker, and you just push. You just push. And because the enemy will not do anything most of the time, you will get away with it. And that's one of the biggest issues. Hello. And the only way to fix this issue is to make people better at the game. But if there's no inherent drive to make people better at the game, it will never be fixed. Not to forget to mention that we simply lack players. So yeah, it's just a very unfortunate state where we can't do anything about this outside of just making people aware of this and praying that they learn. And so what I can do as a person, coming back to why I'm doing what I'm doing, Zillacat, giving people who want to learn a way to learn, to at least for themselves have ways to deal with this. So yeah, rant over. Let's go back to the AD carry thing. Okay, so we have a gameplay of Chronix. The point, but not everybody sees your content. Yeah, but people see the content, and maybe people talk to other people, and then it spreads. Like, there's only so much a person can do. And if nobody does it, then how can anyone even expect anything to get better? It has to start somewhere, no? I will try to do this for every role over the time, because I want to make this more or less the main content outside of more edited videos. Because I personally have not much joy playing the game right now, as to all the problems it has. So what I can do though, I can help people get better, so maybe over time the player population gets better at the game. That is what I can do. If it works, it's very cool, we're all happy. If it doesn't work, well, at least I've tried. I'll also have a talk with Leroy about the matchmaking. So we'll see a different perspective on that one. Part 3 should come out tomorrow. If you want to see the full stream, it was in my last stream, I believe. So yeah. Yeah, I'll tackle support as well at some point. Now I'll talk about AD carries. I mean, yeah, it's good that people started taking Herald more often, but the issue, like, the same thing applies again, right? Let's say your team cannot win a fight right now, right? Then obviously going for the more contested objective is too risky, because then you give the enemy, okay, let's go back, okay. Herald versus Dragon. Your team weaker, enemy team stronger. You can't contest, you have to trade. Losing Herald or Dragon doesn't lose the game, but dying for it certainly does. So, like, I say dragons are bad, and if more people run to Herald now by default and just all die, it's the same issue again, because the underlying problem was not understood. Dragons by themselves are useless, or not as impactful as people make them out to be, yeah? But the bigger issue is all people dying. Like, 3 people die at Herald, enemy gets Herald. That is an absolute terrible scenario. Like, in an ideal world, you know you can't contest, so you don't go. And then just losing Herald or Dragon will not instantly lead to you losing the game, because just the objective alone is not the biggest problem. The best priority objectives are just killing them instead of stealing Drake Herald. Yes, that's possible. Like, for example, if you are stronger, if you're the stronger team, you can contest both objectives, obviously, yeah? But it requires a certain understanding of vision setup to know when the enemy goes for it, and then you go in and kill them. But still, people can react, you can still give up, and even if you give up both objectives, not dying is effectively more important than getting Dragon or Herald. Yeah, you only get lower lobbies, you only get master lobbies, master GM, and it's terrible to play. And again, like, you can even win games if you lose both objectives. You can win if you lose Herald and Dragon. It's a bigger issue if your entire team dies for either one. Because the gold difference that will be created by dying as a team at an objective is so abnormally big that it outvalues the objective value. So many people just randomly die for fun. And the death itself is so impactful. And that is something people need to understand. Yeah. It's very difficult to have fun in a game where the skill disparity is so big. And I completely understand this. I mean, Riley, let's just imagine you're a Sovereign player, right? Like, Riley is Sov. And you play on EU. If you queue as a Sovereign, chances are you only queue with GM, Master, rarely Chell. Hello. So by definition, since you are the highest rated player in every lobby you play, you will always be 1v9. You will be forced to 1v9. Because nobody is on your level. Nobody. Because there's not enough players. Thank you, Ethan. And you can't escape this problem, because the only way to fix the problem is to fix the existing player base or get more people to play this game from, for example, the PC version. And it is utter pain to play like this. It is. But it's something you have to accept if you play on the European server, on the NA server. I mean, you can take a look at Starting Stream, you can take a look at Chronic Stream, you can take a look at Leon's stream, you can even take a look at my stream. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's so tempting to do these things, I agree. Because it feels good, right? Like, taking the objective objectively feels good. But the issue is, the things that the objective provides is just nothing. Just nothing. I would start talking, like, I've waffled enough, right? About this right now, okay? But now I'll go to AD carry, okay? So now we'll start with AD carry. Enough of this, enough rant, enough QQ. We'll tackle this again with Leroy. And we'll talk about AD carries now. Okay, cool. Okay, let's start with this one. So we have a Lux matchup and a Caitlyn. So what makes Caitlyn so powerful when it comes to generally laning? It's her really high range. So the next question is, why is he positioning to this wall up there? Because the enemy could go with the Zyra too close to deal damage to him. He will have to be very, very careful in this matchup, and the reason why he's pushing constantly is he doesn't want to give the enemy any room to get something done. So, The next big issue here is you play with a solo queue support, right? Most of the time, just pushing your lane by default because you have an autofill or random support will be one of the best plays you can make. And you'll see him use his space constantly, walking up, walking back, and just trying to focus down the person in front of him. Whereas the enemy support goes for a kill she can never get, and even if she gets it, she will just lose. Quick flash, double kill. He did not get afraid, he never stopped fighting, and he used his support's HP bar to his own advantage. Like, how many of you people would have tried to help Deluxe by swapping the target onto the Zyra, and then as a consequence would have potentially died? It's all about the choices you make with the relative space you're given. And right now he has Boots' advantage. And as a consequence of having Boots' advantage, he can just constantly fight, and by seeing the Zyra mid lane, like here, we see Zyra mid lane. So with Zyra being mid lane, he can just go in. He can just punish the enemy AD carry for existing. And now he can hold this, he could have held the wave if he wanted to, if the support would not attack. It's not bad to push under tower, it's the only issue that makes you vulnerable. But again, if you remember the quick talk I had earlier about generally people being bad and you play against bad players all the time, it is very likely that you just get away with many things giving you bigger advantages. And he will just constantly hammer away at the tower because Caitlyn, by design, is supposed to stomp lane. This is what she's supposed to do. Play forward, stomp. If Caitlyn doesn't achieve this kind of state during the laning phase, then you will have big issues having impact on the game. Because then the only time by then you'll have impact is in the later stages of the game when you're fully scaled. But your champion's range is designed to punish people. Oh, -1, rip. Is it impactful to lose this cannon? Ah yes, Vampiric End. Glove all another longsword. Yeah. So, what's very likely to happen, like in a sense of playing well, he will take down this tower because the enemy support is upset. For whatever reason, the enemy support got really upset and left to never return. Now she's back after the lane is already in a state where it cannot be salvaged anymore. Kai'Sa in general is already a very, very bad laning champion. And these plants are so goddamn tanky, it's actually horrifying. And with all the things happening in the topside jungle you see on the screen, he just keeps on marching. And he will keep on marching, he will keep on dealing damage to them, and every single mistake made by them will nearly get them killed. Like you see, it's just constant bullying. There's no stopping, and that is the design Caitlyn was created for. And he instantly goes behind the tower, not giving the Kai'Sa any space, because he saw the enemy champions on the map top left. So there is no reason for him to not just dive this champion. And now the real question is, what will he do after killing this tower? Theoretically speaking, the best and easy play available would be to go to a lane that has no good wave clear. Because then he can farm more plating gold, because he still has like 3 minutes of plating gold available to him. Not only this, he also puts himself in a position where he's closer to the Herald, which will then net him even more gold. So right now, he needs to go either mid or top for maximum gold income, but the issue here again is, will the teammates respond or will they just AFK? Because if we then sit all mid lane and basically hold our hands, the enemy AD carry on the other side will be allowed to slowly push back, gain more gold, and come back into the game. For no reason. So now we get a kill mid lane, And it wouldn't be very much surprising if we just get everything on the map. Like, we got 1 kill and he just wants more gold, he wants everything. Like, he knows he goes for this right now because the enemy jungle cannot contest him. He will kill him alone. Like, look, he's looking at the Kayn. He just takes everything. And he will wait for the Kayn to appear and he will just deny the Kayn every single bit of gold on the map. Like, right now, sadly, in perfect world, the Lee Sin would solo the Herald, and the rest of the Lee Sin team would help denying the dragon. Because that is the scenario we've talked about earlier, right? That is the perfect scenario where fighting is the best choice, right? But it requires multiple people to be on the same level, understanding what's going on. If that isn't the case, then there can be a disaster. A massive disaster. And now again, he signalizes his teammates, please, somebody get the farm down there and let me gain more gold. Ideally speaking, again, he should be going after this tower at least to collect platings on the other side of the map because it's free gold. But there's currently 50 billion people up there, so he still has to be relatively careful and to make sure that the enemy doesn't gain free gold. Because we always have to think, okay, does the enemy gaining, I don't know, 1,000 gold, is it okay to happen? Because you see, the Kai'Sa is now getting free gold, which is happening, as I've said earlier, because nobody, even though he pinged it, is taking care of the Kai'Sa and the gold down there. The Lux is now responding, whereas the Kai'Sa gets half, maybe even the complete tower, plus platings, for apparently no reason. And this is one of the issues that you see many times happen, and that you can, as a person, abuse, especially as an AD carry if you're behind. You will see people have fun all around the map, and you can punish the enemy team for having fun by taking down side waves, camps in the jungle, and just making sure you get more and more gold. The next question is, why isn't his team trying to consistently allow him to play? Like, he is a fat AD carry, in fact a fat Caitlyn, being beyond fat with a Lux support. They have the biggest siege possible, he is one-tapping them, yet his team doesn't want to play with him. And if he just goes to his team, the enemy, if they choose to stay in their relative lanes, will gain more gold than he gains by going to his team. Like, it's a very stupid scenario. If you look at the map, how does this make any sense? How is this even a thing? Like, he is brutally stomping, yet nobody really cares about him. Now the Kai'Sa got a big bounty. It's actually worth nowadays to die for these bounties because it's so much gold. And it wouldn't surprise me that the Kai'Sa right now is one of the highest golds in the game for their team. Like, wait, let's take a look. Let's hope I can actually catch this time, so I'm not too slow. Come on, because I'll show you something. Okay, guys. You saw that the Kai'Sa got absolutely destroyed during the laning phase, right? She got absolutely eaten alive. Completely chomped. So, guys, I'll highlight this, okay? Why does enemy carry have nearly 7,200 gold? Why does she have so much gold? She got brutally stomped. Look at her team's gold. I can tell you why. Nobody cared enough to deal with her when she was in side lane. She was just farming the entirety of the time where everyone else had fun. And this is also part of the Kale issue, because the people rather have fun than denying the enemy gold, even though it's so much gold that the enemy gained from simply Kai'Sa pushing. She got platings, she got a tower shutdown, she got so much gold for free on a hyper carry late game champion. And all it took for this to not happen is the Garen standing there saying, nope. Whereas the other parts of the team just continuously hammer down the other towers on the map. And thank you, Tapaton. Alternatively, you could say, but why isn't he going there? Well, why would he go there and waste his time doing basically nothing against an already losing player? Just denying them gold even though he's the highest gold in the game. And now he will die because nobody gives a flying, you know, about the entire game. Like the Kaisa is now 9,000 gold. And this is a challenger to Sovereign game. And this perfectly showcases the issue you're constantly facing playing this game. Which makes it so painful to play. Because it's just a massive deathmatch outside of completely stomping lane due to enemy mistakes. And eventually, if his teammates choose to play with him, he will win. But now he dies again. Because all the enemy has to do is press all buttons on him. Every single button needs to be pressed on him and the enemy will win. Because all of his teammates are basically non-existent, playing team deathmatch 4v4 without any resemblance of any macro. Yeah, this looks just like my master games because it is just like your master games. Because, for example, you could be on his team right now. Because he is, in fact, in these lobbies. And the only thing he can do now is gain as much gold as possible, understand his team will not play for him, so he has to get more gold from everywhere, take everything available, and use his teammates as body bags. He needs to have his teammates die for him to win. Because if the enemy just presses all buttons on him, he will simply die. And the funny thing is, he even takes Proto Belt over Stasis because even though if he goes into Stasis, his team will most likely not do anything, and he rather has Proto Belt for a proactive move, allowing him to have direct influence over the game. And you see how he holds the camera? He is looking ahead to the right, knowing what's happening around him, trying to be as safe as possible because the enemy team has so many different ways of getting to him that every single thing that hits him at this point now, because the enemy got so much gold, is dangerous as hell for him. What do I mean by the team needs to play for him? He's a fat 80 carry Caitlyn. His Garen is a neutralizer champion. All Garen has to do is stand there and look, so the enemy doesn't gain gold. Then the Lee Sin and the Yasuo will force place around the Kaisa kills him, by the way. That's actually funny. It's actually funny. The Kaisa kills him. And the Kaisa is ahead in levels. That's so funny. The Garen will not be an influential champion this game. He will just exist. Okay, so what can he do to exist better? He just stands there, denies the enemy Kaisa access to gold on the sideline, as shown earlier. So what do the other people do? The Lee Sin, the Lux, and the Yasuo. They just go in for the kill. Because the moment they create space for him, he will kill everyone. And they have a very easy combo. They have very powerful siege with Lux and Caitlyn. They have the kick into Yasuo ult combo, and the enemy cannot defend themselves. They don't have any tools. They have Zara ultimate, and if it's too fast, the people just instantly die. And if that doesn't happen, the enemy will be given time, and because they're AP champions, they'll get stronger and stronger and stronger, and because it's so easy for the AP champions to deal damage fast, he will eventually lose the game. Because he needs to get close to deal damage, and by going close he'll probably get one-tapped in half a second, because nobody is creating any space at any point. And all of this could have been avoided by just playing around the winning Caitlyn, allowing the Caitlyn to just win for free. And all he can do is accept reality, get as much gold as possible, and as I said before, utilize his teammates and superior spacing and positioning to deal the most damage possible. Like you see, he is forced to start doing things, proto-belting in, initiating the fight for his team, because nobody is doing anything. Can you imagine that he is forced to go proto-belt and go in, because otherwise nothing is happening? And if nothing is happening, it's more likely for him to lose due to champion difference. He initiated the fight. He dragged the fight. He avoided every single dangerous thing that would kill him. This was all by himself playing AD carry. Whereas everyone else was literally doing nothing. Nothing. How do you even want to play games like these? You try your best. And he even loses the... It's absurd! It's just absurd! And now they get one-tapped. It is just crazy. Like, this game would have been so much easier for the AD carry to be played if people would actually create space and do things. But they don't, so he is forced to play proto-belt. The good thing is, he can still very much win the game. It's only an issue if he gets tagged by anything because the enemy team has AP champions, he dies instantly. The thing is, I wouldn't even say they are greedy, I think they're just clueless. Honestly, I would just say clueless is the right word. Because they haven't shown any understanding of the game so far. And it's getting so hard for him to do something, because remember what I told you about the Kale thing? Like, we are closing in on 18 minutes in the game, enemy stole Nashor for whatever reason, and AP champions have so much pen in their kit now, for free, plus crown, etc, that the damage they deal comes in so fast, from angles you would never expect it to come from, and you just die instantly. Like, look at the Diana. She could have probably used everything there and instantly kill him. Like, he's forced to just run backward all the time, whereas the enemy is running into his face on cooldown. They just run at him. The thing is, they are not challenger. They are master players in a challenger sovereign lobby. Like, look at this. Who is creating space for him? Who is allowing him to play the game? Hello. And why aren't they just letting the Swain ult run out by just not walking into him? That's all they have to do. Just don't walk into him. He even changes to teleport to go in here to make sure to secure this. And the Swain ult was still going. The Kayn ultimate range is literally Nani and he will just nearly one-tap him. The Kayn could have actually killed him there. Luckily he got the Elder, he turns on the Zara, he has enough damage to kill it with the superior enchants, but the Diana comes in and just one-taps him again. The thing is, in Diamond Elo, you most of the time have people with less games only playing a few games, having a better understanding, because most of the players in Master Plus have 800 plus games and just got to this Elo because they spammed the game. The Garen actually ulted the wrong person. And it still works out. That's so funny. Now, this should be a freed Baron, right? We got the Diana dead. We have a Lee Sin in late game, which deals a lot of damage with Q2 and Smite. So yeah, we just get some control around the Baron pit, and then this should be an absolute wrap. The Kayn dies instantly nowadays. That's an unfortunate E over the wall. It's very difficult to play from here, but the Swain is doing beautifully to make it possible. And yeah, like the issue is worse, the Kayn can one-tap him. Everything in this game can one-tap him, but the enemy has GA, so she spawns with another trap on her face. But yeah, it's one of the biggest issues that everything that touches him literally taps him, because he doesn't have any access to defensive items that will save him. Like, he can't just go crown to save him from death. And he has to play so far back. Like, any movement forward is a literal death sentence. Diana is back alive. They have so much damage that just goes around, and he's even staying behind the Baron pit to make sure that the enemy just can't get too close. He has both summoners. He gets close to deal some extra damage. He keeps on zoning. The Diana comes around the corner. She probably steals this as well. No, the Lee Sin this time secures this, and it's probably finally the end of the game, because the enemy cannot defend anymore. And he just, this Swain is a tanky gamer, but he just has to play for time. His team will certainly end, right? He has 470 armor. This brother doesn't care. Yeah, but what would Edge of Night do for him? Like, he will still get one-tapped, and he finally won. Like, he will still get one-tapped because the item itself isn't enough to save him. Even the shield and the HP are not enough to save him. So yeah. This Kai'Sa got stomped beyond recognition because multiple reasons. The Zara had some issues. Like, long story short, she lost, okay? But she was allowed to get back into the game through all the things I've just mentioned to you in this video. And this is something you can use for yourself if you are the one losing. So, if you have this in mind, try to use it. The rune tree, it's Lethal Tempo, Brutal, Giant Slayer, Alacrity, and Bone Plating. Yeah, this game should have ended so much earlier, yet it didn't. So, we'll continue this, and we'll go for the next one. We'll go for an Ezreal game. Okay. Here. Take a look at this game. Here I even have the, what is it called? The loading screen, okay? You see these two people? They're not playing duo queue, by the way. They're playing both solo queue. He is an 80 carry main. He's Sovereign, he's Challenger, Master, GM. By definition, they are supposed to 1v9 this game. all of these 3 people are not supposed to do something, and it's inting Sion. So, okay, let's quickly break it down for you. What does the lane here consist of? We will just look at this for now. Okay. How is lane played? They are both skill shot poke champions. She's a poke champion, and he's an all-in champion. He hooks you. Okay, cool. So what do you do against Blitzcrank, and what do you do against Misfortune? Here's the problem. Against Misfortune, you shouldn't hide behind minions. But against Blitzcrank, you have to hide behind minions. So you have kind of a problem. However, the damage these champions have compared to your champions are a joke. Even if you get hooked level 1 by this champion, these champions will kill her. I prefer Alacrity recently. I said so earlier in a message, if you are Baron lane and you want to win most of your games, completely disregarding anything in the game on the European server, pick any split pusher, pick Hullbreaker, run down side lane, don't care about your team. Keep on going, don't give a single damn at all. You have Fiora, you have Jax, you have Sion, you have Garen, you have Volibear, you have Tryndamere. You can pick any Hullbreaker champion and just go down sideline. Just go. Just keep on going. Will it make you a better player? No. Will it allow you to climb? Yes. You will basically learn nothing, but you'll get LP. Because you're constantly facing people, for example, let's just say he's top lane, and he's master, who don't know what to do. And since you always get +1 and -1, you're constantly facing worse players, and one good player cannot play the map and fights alone. Let's just say this guy isn't in the game and he's alone. And let's say you have a split pushing guy here and a constantly grouping team. He has to choose. What does he do? Who does he stop? He can kill 4 people, but then this guy finishes the game in side lane. He can stop the guy in side lane, but he can't stop the other 4 then. He has to choose. And that is one of the biggest issues. He has to choose because he cannot do both at the same time. So yeah, let's talk about Ezreal. Let's go into the game. Let's break it down for you. Okay. Hello, Gabe. Okay, many of you ask, okay, what is a dangerous thing to happen? Against Blitz, brush control is very important, because you don't want to get hooked from Narnia. So you need to always know where he was and where he can be. If you know where he was, you know where he can't be. And if you know where he can't be, you can use this to your advantage in terms of positioning. Okay, how do I mean this and what does it mean? Okay, let's cut this map into 2 parts. It's a beautiful cut, I know, I'm Picasso. We call this 1, we call this 2. If you see Blitz vanish here, going to the right, he can't 5 seconds later appear here. So for laning, if you know he's not in here, and you have a ward up there, you haven't seen him walk in here, you know he can't be anywhere here. So he must be somewhere on the right side. So if you lean towards the left side, you'll be fine. And then you use this just by leaning to your advantage. You can basically cut the lane into different quadrants, right? You have different quadrants which are differently dangerous. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's say you have no information about Blitz, nothing. 1, 2 dangerous, 3, 4 dangerous, 5, 6 dangerous, 7, 8 dangerous, 9 dangerous, 10 safe. If you have information that he is not to the left hand side anywhere, then 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, all of these are safe. And then you ask yourself, which quadrant can I stay in to be able to do something, compared to which quadrant can I stay in to be safe, but I'm unable to do something. Because let's say there's a scenario you're safe at 1, 9, 7, 5, and 3. Obviously, your positioning will allow you to impact something. Because at position 9, you obviously can't punish a misposition up here. Info is king, yes. But every position of yours enables you to do something or to potentially get killed. And it's up to you to understand which position you can be in order to not get killed but have the maximum value of your champion in that current moment. So let's talk about laning. Okay, you're playing against Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank's biggest ability is a hook. If the hook is on cooldown, he can't play. He has just seen the Blitzcrank. Okay, he has seen the Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is in here. That's a fact. That's information. There's a misfortune. So, okay. Remember, we need minions to avoid Blitzhook, but minions are dangerous when it comes to misfortune queue. Okay, so he's up here. So he can only hook straight. So we use our minions as an invisible wall. These here. Then we use the relative distance from the brush, here, and we can play this pocket. Here. Because here, we are safe from the misfortune bounce, we are able to punish the misfortune going for creeps, and we are out of range from the enemy Blitzcrank, and if we are even better, having a ward here, we can be safe from the enemy jungle depending on the enemy jungle champ that could gank early. So, to give you a perspective, currently, if you are here, you're safe. He is currently here, but he's still safe. He could be anywhere on this line and he could be safe. But his positioning right now allows him or doesn't allow him to do something. Blitzcrank hook. Okay, do you see? Blitzcrank used hook, immediate turn, auto attack. He got a bounce into his face. It's very difficult to sometimes play against MF because the bounce is just unreal. The hook still has a very high cooldown and he can just play very aggressively during that time. I would have preferred if Pooh walked up with him to just continuously beat them up because the Blitz used hook. Yes, taking the ward gives you an XP advantage. Hook is on cooldown again. We hit a nice binding, we deal some good damage, but we rather want to have damage on the misfortune than the Blitzcrank. And it's a kill. Because DMF knew Lux is in here. She knew. However, she didn't have a proper understanding on what's a relative safe range going to minions and what's dangerous. So she got caught by a Lux binding from the brush even though she knew that she was in there. My rank was Legend rank 1 on my server. Why did he even flash this? No, it's Artlist. How is he playing with an unlock screen? He uses his index finger for his left hand. He plays free finger. He plays thumb for joystick, index finger for minimap, and left index finger for buttons, for spells. So he knows he can't contest this, he doesn't have a Kayn shift, so he needs to be careful. Ezreal can also shift out of the Blitz hook if he times his Kayn shift right. And just making it very difficult for the Blitz to get anything done. Here it's a little bit difficult because he has to, again, avoid damage as well as take damage. It's just a question of how you position. The MF made a big mistake here again. We go in with the second ability. Now we just run down the Misfortune as good as we can. We get a free flash. The Blitzcrank doesn't have hook. Yep, he knew about the cooldown. He spaced away early enough and punished the enemy Blitzcrank. This could have gone wrong by a slight mistiming. Again, Misfortune knew that the enemy was in there, walks up, gets instantly blown up, and it's a free kill, even though it's a trade. And again, the Misfortune knew. At least she was supposed to know. Let's put it this way, she was supposed to know. The Blitzcrank could try to hold this wave. He would lose a lot of HP, but he could. But yeah. Now, since he has Manamune, he will obviously spam spells going back to lane to get stacks earlier. A newer build variant of the Ezreal build nowadays could just be going for, what is it called, Gelatinous Grease early, because the 3580 anti-vamp really helps you snowball the game, and since you're spamming spells anyway, getting your Manamune a little bit delayed doesn't really matter. Also, it gives you more power early game. Because tier as an item isn't a power spike in a damage sense, but yeah. I mean, as an AD carry, you basically punish enemy mistakes. It's not about you being an absolute god, it's more about you making less mistakes than the enemy and abusing enemy mistakes. For example, enemy Blitz uses hook. Okay, you use this to your advantage because the Blitz now is not valuable anymore in the sense of doing anything, so you punish the enemy by him using his cooldown. Blitz used cooldown, he can just walk after him, being a little bit annoying because the Blitz now isn't a threat anymore. That's a very interesting bounce. I hate Misfortune. I really do. Blitz gets denied, gets instantly blown up. He probably dies here. He dies, yep. And now the enemy Misfortune probably has to use ult to deny the wave, the platings to be taken. And she walks up for no reason, which means she just dies. She could have lived by pressing ult for the wave, she chose not to, and they knew about this, so they instantly dive and kill him. Yeah. His Lux is trying to influence the map depending on enemy waves. We obviously don't know about the wave because he is not looking for the wave, because it in theory doesn't matter to him. So for example, if we see a slow push on the other side of the map and the Lux wants to go there to save Elena, she will go there, whereas the wave is still coming back to the Ezreal because there's a window of time. Like, the Lux knows she is not needed at the dragon, so she just goes for a proactive play mid lane. He knows that he can punish the EMF, do a little bit of hello, do a little bit of damage. He probably doesn't kill her, gets a free flash down, will probably heal up again. Lost a bit of gold when the minions died to the tower, but he got a flash, which means that if the MF walks back to lane, she'll instantly die, and the Lux is even taking position behind the tower, making sure that if somebody walks around the corner, she will know early enough. This tower is an absolute goner, and if anyone walks up, instantly dies. They'll get this tower, they'll back off because they saw the Hecarim come from Fog of War. Okay, just You need to ask yourself, is having more information good? More information is always better, but it depends on how much you can process. Like, the music I'm listening to is from artlist.io, and the playlist is just soul and R&B. But I don't think you can just listen to it. I don't know. And again, he takes down his tower in the lane. He now swaps lane because he doesn't want to just sit in the side lane AFK. He wants to be in a position where he can actively influence the map. Instant kill. Instant punishment. And now he wants more. He sees the entire team is playing around this side of the map and he wants more. I mean, you take information and you make it a habit, right? Not today, not support today. Okay, how can I put this? Okay. Let's say you play a champion, and at every single moment you're given different options to do, right? Like, I'll just do it like this, okay? Okay, so you go into a game, and then you're presented with a decision, right? 1, 2, 3, simplify. Okay, cool. You make a decision again. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, blah, 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 blah. If you have to actively think that these things even exist, your brain will not be able to process this fast enough because you'll be stuck thinking while playing. Hello, arrows. But if you know what can happen, and if you have a general idea about what could happen, have a fundament of concepts, you can choose between the options because you know the options, and you just have to go with route 1, 2, or 3. But if you still have to think about the existence of 1, 2, 3, then you'll have big problems. So the goal is to understand what can possibly happen and instantly choose the, in your opinion, best option most consistently. Yes, he does have, well, he doesn't have a YouTube, but he has a Twitch, and I'll link you his Twitch. Here you go. Instantly pieces out, he had enough of this. He has a big spike in base with Trinity Force. He wants the assist here. Ooh, free money. Like, he wants to go base because he has a massive spike. But yeah. I will play with broken support, yeah, but I think we'll only play for fun because it's just, it's too mind-boggling to, like, really try. And I just want to chill in WildRift nowadays. But yeah, right now it's at the stage again where he just goes around the map, collects gold, gets as much gold as possible, and what needs to happen is, technically speaking, one side, like we're at a point where one side needs to create pressure, so multiple people show, so the other side can get killed. Making decisions based on prediction will make him lose. Yeah, you will lose a few times, but it's you need to understand what you can do. Let's put it again. Okay. Decision making. Okay. Making decisions based on assumption. The more gold you have, the more leeway you have for miscalculation. Right? So, if you believe something will happen, you have more room for any variables at play if you just have more gold, because you're stronger. Like, if you go for a straight up fight, there's a chance for you to lose. But if you have way more gold, the chance of you losing goes down. So every decision you make is basically based on your gold and the general assumption how the enemy would play. Obviously, you will make mistakes. But the consequences of said mistakes won't always be the same. And you will also be punished for good decisions. You will, it will happen. But it's about consistently making the right decision based on the information you have. And that is something you have to keep in mind. Like, mistakes in decision making will always happen. You can make the best decisions possible. Like, you can be a literal machine and make the best choices possible in a game and still lose, because it's still a team game. And you're playing against humans, and human error is a very big variable that you not always, you just can't really determine at all times, because if you're playing in lower elo environment, it's just how it goes. People just do random shit too many times. And yeah, his job this game is going to let the Scion have fun, and while the Scion has fun, he takes other shit. That is what he's doing, and will be doing the entirety of the game. You see, Blitzcrank Cook, yoink, denied. I mean, remember last game, Shiro, the Caitlyn game, where his team chose to not do anything? He had to do something, otherwise he would have lost. Because all the information you gain by playing from your allies, etc., you have to take into your calculations. And DMF dies again. This is a VOD. Like, I have games downloaded from him, and I'm just reviewing them to help you, like, as a player, to improve on what to do, what to look out for, what specific things you can take away as a player. What was that flash, bruh? To just improve as a player. So even if it would just be the laning phase in general, where I just say, okay, this is what you have to look out, this is what you have to look out, etc., it's already a big step up, generally speaking, for WildRift players. Like, DMF died the same way multiple times and didn't learn in any way. Which means either she is very much tilted and doesn't care anymore, or she should just never be in this game. Essence Reaver is collected, and now it's gameplay. I will do multiple, like, Muti, I will do all lanes, but it depends, like, not now. I will do 80 carry for today. I'm also only live until like 1 PM, like 1 more hour, then I'll go offline again, and I'll tackle more lanes. The thing is, I just need more source material for more players in the highest rated environment. And you just see, like, they're playing it so well. How to play with these carries if you're mid, it depends on your champion. It mostly depends on your champions and what your champions can do, right? Like, for example, if you want the highest win rate in mid lane, you most likely play Twisted Fate, Kassadin, and Jace. It's just so free, like, they just continuously walk up and die for fun, and they just punish the people. Now it's a free Nasher angle. Like, this Nasher should be free on spawn, it should be taken. With the Kayle coming back in, it should be just a free Nasher, but it will not happen, most likely because the Kayle will not understand what he has to do. He'll probably just be, I don't know, goofing around. But it's his job to come here and just do this because it's literally free. And this is one of the things that closes out games. And you also see that Pooh is was tanking the Nasher because then Chronix doesn't get the debuff. Because Baron debuff reduces your damage dealt by 50% to anything you touch. Champions, minions, monsters, and it can be applied to multiple people compared to its PC version. it depends on your champion again. Like if your champion needs to create sidelane pressure for him, he will do so. Or if you'll rotate to him, destroying the enemy. What the hell is happening here? But you see how he's spacing away from like immediate death? Like staying far enough away to not just die, even trying to get the Twisted Fate with the Fade away, and now locating the Twisted Fate, using his Q to get another ability haste, cooldown reset on his third ability. Like you just see how he's tethering the distance, being useful without being dead immediately, like if you get what I mean. Like this is the biggest thing about AD carries. Hecarim, I can also tell you why Hecarim is so good. Hecarim is very, very easy, and Hecarim is very, very influential. Like, if you compare Lee Sin to Hecarim, which champion is easier to play, and which champion is theoretically more impactful? A perfectly played Lee Sin will be more impactful, but a mediocre played Lee Sin will be terrible. A mediocre played Hecarim will still be useful. And the Twisted, nah. You just can't tell me this Twisted Fate did this. That is crazy. And you just see, like, it's so important to tether, to stay at the distance, to make sure you stay in relative range of just going in for the kill, and then just win as an AD carry. You don't always want to just brutally go all in if there are still threats on your screen. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to constantly pan the camera. So yeah. And as you see, he was solo queue. And we will go for more. What do we have next? We have a Kai'Sa game. Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to break down a Kai'Sa game with one of the weakest lane supports you can possibly ask for, in this instant, Sona. Not only this, Kai'Sa is also a very weak laning champion. She has very inferior range and is very much dependent on the enemy AD carry to step outside of minion waves to be punished by the isolated Kai'Sa Q and generally her damage. If that doesn't happen, there's nothing you can do during lane. Yes, the build video comes out in 2 hours, I think. In 2 hours. So make sure when it drops, watch the video, and if you watch it on PC, open up the tab. Like I'll show you. Okay. Here I'll show you. Like if you open up this video, you can just mute the side here, and then you can just let it play in the background, because then it will give me the full view time, which will then boost the video and push it to more people. Okay, back to the lovely game. Okay, laning wise, these two will brutally stomp Kai'Sa and Sona. And my cat is meowing. Hello, Layla. Yeah, Layla. Oh, my cat wants attention. Oh. Okay, so Jinx has superior range compared to Kai'Sa and overall away by the laning phase due to a superior range and wave play during the early stages of the game. Thresh has so much more pressure than Sona, so much more. What are the good things we have going for us? Number one, she has Kraken, which is not very good for her in comparison to Lethal Tempo, in my opinion. The next thing, which is very, very quote-unquote good for us, is that she has Ghost. So with all of this in mind, it's still winnable if the enemy makes a mistake. So what is not supposed to happen? Getting hooked equates into death. We will be locked down. Hook, flay, chompers, death. What does it mean for our Sona? We basically have to let her die if she trolls. We have to, because if she dies, she will let the Jinx get excited and then the Jinx will run us down. That is not supposed to happen. We are not allowed to die. So, what is the goal for our game here? We get, hopefully, towards 3 items, and then we carry. That is the goal. If we are fortunate and the enemy makes a mistake or makes mistakes, we can kill them during the laning phase. If we don't, well. Now, let's get into it. Okay. He's using tablet. Okay. One of the things that's very important against Thresh, usually it's control of this brush here. You do not want him to walk in here and just get free control because it will make your lane miserable. So usually what you do is you walk into this brush at the very pixel here, so you see early enough when they walk in here, because then you're safe. Chronix is using an iPad Pro, like he's using what I'm using. iPad Pro, I think it's a 12.9 from 2019 or 2020. I don't know. You could make the argument that maybe he went for Kraken to have more lane dominance, but he's already winning lane. So there's not really a point for that, right? Because the enemy can't win. So yeah, during this laning phase, we'll probably see just a tiny bit of poke damage. You see, Sona is not playing the game. She could walk up and use her first ability to deal damage, but she chooses to not even engage into anything, which is fine. But it's just very important to understand what is going on. The thing is, they have a cannon for a big, for a fast engage. So frontline is not really that necessary. As you see, like the enemy isn't really pressuring them, which is just a player skill issue. Like, do you see how both sides are basically not playing the game? Like, Chronix can't do it to champion, and Sona walks up randomly and the Thresh doesn't punish her. While he's trying to stay away as much as possible to only go for free damage on enemy champions. Gets a hook here, big damage on him, has to just be respectful again, gets ignited, walks it off. And Sona is a very, very, very weak champion in the early game. And the enemy is not taking advantage of this at all. In any way. Like, Kai'Sa is a champion that is fine with nothing happening in your lane. Because Kai'Sa is a champion that wants to scale. Like, your very first spike is your very first item when you get your first abilities evolve. That is one of the arguably biggest spikes for Kai'Sa, where she can instantly one-tap waves, and if you get stuck in an isolated 1v1, she will blow you up. And it's very, very important to keep in mind. And he's going for the Dustblade build. Side info, there was a very nice Twitch user which made me aware of something very, very important. If you have a Sense Reaver, yeah? A Sense Reaver in the description says it deals physical damage, but that's not true. A Sense Reaver deals damage based on what you have more, AD or AP. If you are having 200 AP and 180, it will deal magical damage. So, for Kai'Sa, you can rush a Sense Reaver, even Gluttonous Grease, and then transition into AP, and the moment you have more AP than AD, your Sense Reaver bonus damage on your second ability, first ability, will deal magical damage, which is far more powerful than it dealing physical damage, because the enemy has a lot less magic resist than armor. Yes, if you play against Sona, you kill her on cooldown, because the champion cannot really defend herself. You pick any hardcore engaged champion, and you just yeet, you just go. Oh yeah, and if you play... Oh, there's a Pantheon, hello good sir. If you play against Crown of the Shattered Queen users and you are, for example, a Morgana, just buy... he made a mistake, he should have waited until the anti-healing wore off before he picks up the fruit. If the enemy has a Crown, you can go for the Trident on Morgana and break the enemy. Oh, what a beautiful engage. That's what I think Sona can at least do now compared to before. She has a way higher range of engage, very good play, and the enemy just got instantly blown up. It's not in the item description. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. I mean, Runas doesn't tell you that it increases your auto-attack range, does it? Yeah. But the thing is, Ian, you see, this is also one of the reasons why Sona's win rate is so high. It's a it's a champion that doesn't have responsibility, and a scaling champion at the same time. And if people are not good enough to punish you, then you get away by scaling, and once you've scaled, you'll take over the game, eventually. Very good reading the situation, even going low HP, just instantly going in when the Darius makes an appearance, just making sure to just kill the people. Pantheon flashes in, but it isn't enough. And that's a free Dragon and free Herald at the same time. Everything is just free. Hello, welcome back from dinner. I hope it was nice. I don't think you missed much. Just a little bit of ranting, a little bit of gaming, a little bit of explaining. Essence Reaver. None of the both options you just mentioned. I prefer Essence Reaver. I prefer Essence Reaver and Lethal Tempo. I don't have any info about India, I'm sorry. I know nothing. I also don't know anything about console release or anything. I have legit no clue. I have zero information. Oh yeah, and don't mess up and accidentally rush boots on Kai'Sa, right? That's one of the things that are rather sad if they happen. When do we swap lanes with the mid laner as an AD carry? You do so when the enemy mid laner's wave clear is very bad and you can just take the tower for free. Kai'Sa buys boots after the first item. Like, it's so crazy how these fights are even remotely close, even though Sona doesn't even have an item. Hello. The best counter for Syndra? I don't know yet, because I don't know her numbers. I don't know what she'll be able to do in the sense of numbers, so I assume Jace will be an issue early game. But yeah, now we've reached a point where we can basically poke the enemy every single time with Q, and if the enemy makes mistakes, we just get a kill for free. Like, you see, he gets so much free damage onto the Jinx every single time, as if they're not even playing. So basically, AD Kai'Sa is dead. No. But it's easier to play AP Kai'Sa. Because think about this. One build requires you to go close, yeah? And the other build allows you to deal more damage from a big distance. So one has significantly more risk compared to payoff, whereas the other build has way easier way of playing the game because of superior range and more damage through that superior range, and not being denied by armor so much. Yeah, going back to the question before, like, as an AD carry, if you kill your tower, like when platings wear off, you ideally go to the lane that you can influence the easiest in a way of taking down the tower. Beautiful to get not rooted there and just goes in there. You're welcome. I think I'll also turn, like, I'll start doing more things on stream, so I'll turn them into videos afterwards, because obviously not everyone is watching a stream, and not everyone has enough time to watch through like 2 hours of stream. I mean, I will not deny that just running down side lane is a great way of climbing. Is he dead? Yep. Zara is a wonderful champion. Yes, Syndra will be able to be played as an APC. Very easily. Yeah, it is viable. But honestly speaking, like, if you have a Lulu support, I think you should rather go for like a Sense Reaver, no? Because if you have the attack speed steroid from the Lulu, plus lethal tempo, it's more likely for you to crit a few times due to how many times you attack, then you'll just outvalue. Like, this Kai'Sa build with the Dustblade Rush is a very snowbally build that is very powerful on one item, but is outperformed. Like, the more items you gain on this build compared to, for example, the Sense Reaver build or the Manamune build, it's weaker in direct comparison. Yeah, Zara is one of the most annoying champions. Like, Zara makes Ezreal literally unplayable. Is Kai'Sa... Kai'Sa can carry solo, yes. But you need to reach items. You basically play for free item spike. His Elgato died. That's not me. It's not me. I'm innocent. Yeah, okay. Let me take a quick break. Explaining the Sense Reaver. Ear adaptive damage. Item says it deals physical bonus damage on spells every 4 seconds. It scales from 20% to 30%. So item alone is 22.5% damage increase. Okay, nice. What happens though? If you are an AD champion that buys AD, ER will deal fizz damage. If you are an AD champ that buys AP, ER will deal magical damage on spells. I can show you. Hold up. I have tweeted about this. Give me one moment. I shall show you. Where is it? Hello. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here. Okay. You see? I'm Kai'Sa. It's physical damage. It's my Q. Right? It's with the Sense Reaver. Now, on the next screen, wait, there's magical damage. This is also just my Q. So, the moment you have AP greater AD value, ER will deal magical damage. If you have AD AP, more than AP, sorry, ER will deal fizz damage. That's it. I mean, you're currently seeing an AD carry in this VOD that is playing solo queue, and he played all until Sovereign. We talked about Essence Reaver being adaptive damage instead of physical damage. You're welcome. And now with the downtime, he goes for jungle camps. Yes, Nash's Tooth is an adaptive item. Yes, the stats on the item are adaptive. The damage the item deals, the on it, is always magical. But it scales with AD and AP. With Essence Reaver, it's different. The item is purely AD. In the description, it says it deals physical damage, but it deals adaptive damage. So yeah, it's a little bit of a scam. So now, as you see, with the downtime being an AD carry, he is just farming. He's getting more and more gold, turning into AP, making sure he has impact. And I'm getting invaded by Rengar again. Kayle, come. So now his second ability is basically in lovely nuke already. He tapped that guy, goes in for a quick kill, flashes after, goes for more, avoids the hook, goes for a triple kill, is aware of the complete surroundings, and is now hunting down the Jinx. I think you'll have an easier way with AP to have impact. I don't know if it's really a bug. I think it's probably intended. Ah, hello cat. Come here. Okay, we have another spectator now, which is my cat on my lap. But you see, it's just generally about your positioning as an AD carry. Like, he will get as much gold as possible because he needs as much gold as possible to have an impact in the game. And then it's all about free items. Free items are the magical PowerPoint for Kayle. Yep, depending on what stat you have more, AD or AP, you will deal physical or magical damage with the Essence Reaver passive. Runan's worth on AP Kayle, it depends if you're in a game where you ult into backline. Because it really depends on how many auto attacks you will get off, right? Because if you don't auto attack a lot because you're not allowed to attack a lot, then Runans will have not much value. Yeah, the cat is dangerous right now. And I already fed the cat, what do you mean? And he is arguably one of the biggest spikes now with Rabadon's death cap, because Rabadon's will increase his AP count by so much that all the effects he has from Nashos, like the bonus on it magic damage, will really come in crazy now. And his second ability's bonus damage as well as his passive will deal so much damage. Like, if he tags anyone with his second ability, you will see a big number. Like, you see, and just instantly goes in for the kill and instantly kills, because Kayle is technically speaking not really an AD carry, she's more like an assassin. And it's all about using this range to the advantage and then finding impact. Because your champion is not necessarily an auto-attack based carry. Because being an auto-attack range on such a short range carry is very, very dangerous. Obviously, if you get presented situations in which you're allowed to do this, like you see the damage he just did with 1W, and it's not even a Sense Reaver buffed up. He will melt people. But he has to get very close, and that is a very, very big risk. Did you just see the quick damage? He just popped that guy. Yeah, Kayle jungle was really toxic because you got to free scale and dealt so much damage. let's just finish this for a second and I'll answer your question. Like, the Zara damage is so high. He will die, by the way. It's so crazy. Now we can talk about this for a second. His team will end, right? Right? His team will end. Yeah, Zara just clapped him. What do you want, you cute cat, huh? She just threw a paw into my face. It's officially over. Okay. Do I have the damage chart here as well in the recording? Let's find out. Nah, I don't. Okay. 80 carries building full damage when the enemy team has assassins is kind of trolling. So, okay, let's talk about the item builds for 80 carries. Item builds or defensive items for carries. So, the thing as an 80 carry job, deal consistent damage. Okay. Defensive items. When, which, why? So, there are purely offensive items. For example, Infinity Edge. Oh, let's type. Infinity Edge is purely offensive, right? Okay, cool. So, what is Shield Bow? Shield Bow is hybrid. It's defensive and offensive. It has multiple capabilities. It has shield, vamp, attack speed, damage. Like, I'll just not count crit, okay? Okay, nice. So, what can we do in games when the enemy team has assassins? What we can look for is finding items that serve a hybrid purpose. Hello. By using these hybrid items, you increase your damage as well as your survivability, and then you reach a certain point which usually only top laners are familiar with. This is the law of the Ruby Crystal. Does any one of you know the law of the Ruby Crystal? Has any one of you ever heard of the law of Ruby Crystal? It's very unlikely, so I'll just break it down. The law of the Ruby Crystal basically states that 150 HP grants you more damage than 1280. How does this make sense? How do HP grant me more damage? Okay, let's talk about this. So, if you fight for 10 seconds. You deal, let's say 100 DPS. We'll just go with a random number, okay? 1000 damage. Then you die. You fight for 15 seconds, but you deal 80 DPS. How much damage do you deal? So, because the Ruby Crystal plays with the window of time you're fighting for because you live for longer, you will be able to deal more damage because you are allowed to live longer to deal damage. And you can obviously only deal damage when you are, well, alive, unless you're, you know, Zyra and Zyra, Karthus, Sion, etc. Like, you know what I mean. So, what you do by building hybrid items or defensive items, you increase your window of time in which you deal damage. Yeah? And by doing so, you will deal more damage. You will deal more damage over a longer period of time because you are alive. That is basically the entire idea. Now it's even more severe in current WildRift because Ruby Crystal Rush gives you grants you access to faster boots. I will do another OP champ video, yes. So, as an AD carry, which options do we have? So, BT is a damage item, as well as a somewhat defensive item, due to lifesteal. So, having an item with lifesteal increases our survivability if we have more HP. Like, we heal up in downtime, we sustain in fights as we deal damage to sustain damage, etc, etc. So, what you do, you look for a sweet spot of damage, tankiness, and utility. More HP equates into lower DPS, but you live longer, so you'll deal more damage in the long run. And for example, you have Shield Bow, you have, what is another item that features similar capabilities that is very good for an AD carry? BT is a very good call because it has all these stats. Spirit Visage, interaction, Shield Bow, and Lifesteal. Like these type of things, they're like items that provide you with this type of value. You can also go for, let's say you have 4 crit items, then you go for a Black Cleaver, 4 HP and AD. Or you go for a Warmog's just to increase your HP pool to not get one shot. You can even skew the rules depending on your champion by going Crown. These are all possibilities you can look into. And then which enchant? Stasis, stationary can get killed, but avoid all damage. QSS, avoid being locked down. Protobelt, proactivity. Like all of these things serve a different purpose and you can use them to increase your effectiveness in a game. And purely damage is, as it says, purely damage. So, purely damage, if you are a perfect human with perfect reaction time, 0 mistakes, full damage will most likely be better because you don't make mistakes. But you are human, you make mistakes, you have reaction time, etc. You will make mistakes. And any change in itemization allows you to make more mistakes and accommodate for these mistakes. The thing is, even in a short trade, because you have Ruby Crystal, you have more HP, you most likely run Second Wind. And even if you don't, like, even if you buy Ruby Crystal and don't fight, and just AFK until recall, you will have your boots 500 gold earlier. The defensive boots. And have you ever tried winning a fight where you're an AD champion and the enemy team has plated steel caps and you have, I don't know, gluttonous grease. And what happened? I have no idea, I'm typing really slow. But you see? It's getting really, really crazy. Okay, I think I have time for one more. How long is this? Oh, that's too long. That's also... I'll go with this. Okay. Yeah, Boots has 80 carries, more than fine. Okay. Next game we take a look at. A Sivir game. Okay. Interesting. We have a Tristana jungle here against a Kale jungle. We have a Soraka Sivir lane against a Samira Sona lane. Makes no sense, fundamentally speaking. Barrier, exhaust. So what is the ideal way of playing this game? In lane, Sivir will trade her HP to deal damage where Soraka sustains her. They have barrier, they have exhaust, so they should win by default. She takes way longer to scale than this champion. Soraka is online way earlier and able to do something. Influence the map globally. Is Sivir generally fine doing nothing? Yes. Sivir is fine doing generally nothing. Because Sivir is also a scaling champion. This champion here requires setup. And is an early snowball champion. That can take over late game if she has setup, that is. But, as I said, Sivir lane is fine doing nothing, and they even have a Kale and the Jax. So this game looks like a very, very troublesome game for them. Okay. Oh, I'm getting so hungry. You have no idea. I really need to eat before 1. So the set is currently enjoying his time up there for fun for no reason with the Twisted Fate, enjoying their time. The Soraka walks in alone for no reason. We get a big chunk of damage onto the Samira, but yeah, Sivir's auto-attack range is very, very low. So there's not much happening. There'll only be spells thrown at each other, and that's it. Like you see, the Sona can just bully the Sivir from auto range because she doesn't have range. With the slow no though, it's a massive trade into the Sivir's favor, and it doesn't really matter because once the Soraka is level 2, all the damage that has been inflicted on the Sivir will slowly be healed up. So the only thing that's important for a Soraka lane is that you don't die level 1. And there's a dash angle. We died level 1. Why you struggle against Samira? Samira got many buffs in terms of base stats. Like this champion has so much armor for an 80 carry, it's crazy. And she has very high burst damage. Now he will leash the wave away to deny the enemy gold. Like this is a cannon wave. He will take the damage to deny the enemy gold. Like the enemy recall. Okay, cool. These minions here, 120 gold. These minions here, 80 gold. He can deny the enemy champions gold and EXP by trading in his HP because the Soraka will heal him up anyway, to deny the enemy this gold and XP. To make up for what just happened. $60 gold lost for the enemy. Another 60 gold lost and XP lost for the enemy. 40 gold lost for the enemy. They just lost 200 gold by him just leashing the wave. It's massive. The issue is you still have very low range against the Zyra, so you have to go close. It's a big issue. Tristana is now here, nothing can happen. Wave is pushed, but in a very bad spot, so we have to be very much careful. If the Tristana hops in, yep, there she is, she will just chill there. We have vision control now. She jumps over the pit, she did certain vision, so we can just no push the wave because there's no more danger. Kale will just be clearing the jungle, there will be no threat at all. Now we need to be very much careful that we don't get engaged by the Samira because she had a lot of damage. And the moment the Sona hits level 5 with mana, we have issues. Can you play Sivir with Navori? Yes, you can. You should. And now the Goon platoon comes around the corner, the Twisted Fate ults in, but we get away scot-free because the Kale was close enough to actually cover for the gank. And again, he is fine if nothing happens. Does the 30 work on Sivir W? Why shouldn't it? It's physical damage, but why would you do so instead of crit when your Q spell scales massively with crit? That's the question. Why is my cat fighting me? And now it's all about scaling. Like, Samira is basically losing against herself right now, dealing a lot of damage to herself, while Sona's sustain is inferior to Soraka, especially, well, with no mana. But there's so much damage by the Samira, it's crazy. No, Sivir's Q doesn't crit, but it has crit scaling. If you have crit, it deals more normal, like more damage. Because it has a crit modifier. Honestly, I might catch a flight tonight, just in time to pick you up and see. And here it's all about him just scaling. Like, which is, again, fine for him. They have multiple scaling champions on the team, and if they don't mess it up, they'll be fine. Because the only, like, real threat on the enemy team, from my perspective, is going to be the Tristana or the Twisted Fate side lane, but they have the Jax. Okay, if you buy crit on Sivir, your first ability has a scaling that increases the base damage of that spell with your crit rate. If you have 25% crit, it deals more damage. If you have 50% crit, it does more damage. If you have 75% crit, it does more damage. Up to 100%. I mean, she'll make the games much harder. And now Soraka makes a big mistake by walking too close to the enemy engage, and then the Sona just engages onto them. And this will be probably another easy kill. Yeah. Oh, he crit! It's a wrap. And then the Soraka comes around the corner. Oh, he got saved by the crit. It's a juicer. I miss old Soraka. It was so much better. Oh, attack speed gap. Can't kill. So right now, the game is most likely over. I have no idea if what skins will be available. The game right now is probably over because a Kale team got Herald. Kale team got Herald, they just double killed bot lane. Yeah. That is not supposed to happen. But it did, so here we are. -1, the classic. It releases today in 1 hour. It comes out in 1 hour. Let me check if it's in 1 hour. Let me check the studio while we're watching. Content. Yeah. It comes out in exactly 1 hour. It's brain dead to contest an objective at all times. You need to understand if you even can or not. Samira is on the silence field. Oh no. The Soraka, like playing Samira into Soraka is one of the most annoying things because if Soraka plays the silence really well, Samira's like, well, I guess I will not use ult today, so my champion is kinda dead. Like, he would even go for the warrior right now. Oh, luckily I'm fast enough with the mute button because I'm still coughing once in a while. It's really annoying. I'm sorry. But now, like, it's just about, again, scaling again, waiting for the next objective. He will wait for his team to create pressure, go for item spikes. He has the superior scaling on his team right now, with all the champions involved. And he has multiple carries, right? The enemy team doesn't have enough carries to deal with his team. And as a Sona, she uses ultimate, flashes away, gets caught. Will this be a death, or will he survive? Because Soraka, yeah, it's Soraka. She just hit. What is he doing? What is the Tristana doing? She's crazy. And now the enemy, like, look. The enemy makes a massive rotation down here to kill a Kale. That's cool, bro. They just enabled this entire team to take everything of this. And then, after taking this here, they can transition into the jungle and take this as well. Because they make a play on the other side. And maybe they can even push for the inhibitor, because look at how many people are on the map. This is a poor macro decision, and they just punish this instantly. Congratulations, you kill the person. And now they'll pillage the jungle. Look, he's looking for the jungle camps. Even though he should have known that bot side is down, so he walks top side to clear that wave. But apparently, the enemy bot lane doesn't know that they're coming, so all of them are dead as well. You see? They're just being aware of what is possible, of what is happening on the map, and they're punishing them. They got the Kale kill. They got one Kale kill, lost 2 towers mid lane, including the inhibitor tower, and then they got themselves killed pushing for a tier 1 tower. This is high elo. This is the highest elo matchmaking you can possibly get on the European server in WildRift. And this is one of the biggest issues which you need to learn to abuse: people's poor awareness. Like in this video, he was challenger, but he's sovereign normally, so yeah. Kale is also challenger. Like at the beginning of the video, if you go back, you see his teammates elo. Kale is also challenger. The other people are either GM or master. So on the enemy team, there should be 2 challengers and roughly the same amount of other elo people, roughly. Leona is in a good spot. I'm not roasting high elo, I'm giving very valuable insight as to what is happening on the screen and how to abuse the people that are making mistakes. How to get the most out of what is happening on your screen, and how to do it the most consistently. Hello, I don't think you missed a rant, just some informational stuff. In League PC, people in Platinum are better than Sovereign players in WildRift. So yeah. Now, look at how he pans his camera, going back so far to make sure to not get caught in the middle of everything, and then kiting back upwards to just deal the most damage possible, playing it as humanly best as he can, but there's just only so much he can do. His team just got ran over. Why AD carries complete donkeys? Normally? Because bot lane gets buffed and buffed and buffed. Every single time. Like, bot lane has received buffs every single time. Support has been overbuffed. AD carry has been overbuffed by item choices. And another thing is, people in bot lane can't contain their int. They can't contain their int, they just keep on running it down on cooldown. So you'll always see one massive gap into either direction in bot lane. It's always crazy. It's always crazy. It never stops. Oh yeah, I played PC League a few days ago. I haven't played in ages. I could barely move my mouse and I played on an account that was 6 years decayed. And I immediately played in Diamond Elo, and the people there, I wouldn't say they're good, yeah? But you at least see that there's somewhat of a thinking process at some points. Somewhat. And my decisions mattered. My choices mattered. What other games do I play? I play World of Warcraft Season of Discovery. It's really chill. I really like it. But I'm waiting for the League MMO to release, the Riot MMO. And like the only issue his champion has this game is reaching. So he needs to use this set in front of him as a proxy to reach the backline. But he just takes so long to go through this guy, and he simply doesn't have enough damage yet. He needs more items. I don't think Cannon is a very good champion, but due to the nature of the game and how players play, you can get very successful with Cannon. Like you see, he needs still more damage to kill this set because he has too much armor. But the Kayle, look at the Kayle, she just doesn't care, she just taps it. Why does Soraka flash? More check? New cinematic is insane. Can you explain the concept of an MMO? Think of League. You play the game, you farm things, you gain items, but by killing things rather than just by buying them. And then you get stronger and stronger and stronger to take on stronger foes until the very end of the game. Chronic streams every once in a while when he feels like it. And yeah, like, only thing he does, he's collecting gold, he's using his spell shield very beautifully to deny the Twisted Fate's ability to do anything. And it's just very important that he doesn't give the enemy an opportunity to get Nashor. Like, the main goal of his team right now is to have the Jack split and then do something on the other side of the map. Because if the set isn't with their team, then the enemy team doesn't have a proper form of engage outside of the Twisted Fate, but the Kale and the Sivir will just run them down. Still here is a very good song, I like it. Now the set is isolated without his team being here. The set is now the Griefer, allowing damage to be dealt. And now, look, they have multiple carries. They killed the set, but it doesn't matter if you kill the set, because there's many more carries. Look, the Sivir is completely going... She's molesting the entire enemy backline. And the Kale died with ultimate up. And we see the bounces going everywhere. And it would have been so much easier if the set wasn't in that position he was in and actively was with the team trying to force an engage with them being close. Because then, the entire fight can be over in a flash because of the burst damage. like Sivir is best picked into teams that want to play front to back. Because you see, like, he doesn't deal a lot of damage to that guy. And he has to use them as a proxy target to reach the backline. And he's doing his best to carry this game. Like, he is playing so well. Like, he's understanding the power of the enemy CC, using his spell shield properly, using the enemy's cooldown, using his first ability to kill the enemy upon getting on Ozonius instantly, pushing the wave before he goes to Nashor to make sure the maximum pressure is applied by seeing what is happening. Because now they have a ward in mid lane with the minions. Now, rather than wasting his time with Nashor, he goes to the side lane to insta-push the side lane, and then go for a base. He is very rich. Tristana is like, if you play AD carry and you want to pick a champion that you believe will always have value, it's Tristana. Pick Tristana. Front to back mean, like, he has a front line that goes in, and then the people either kite back or kite forward, and the Kale just killed all of them. Funny. Any team composition that has a frontliner and a backline that goes in for them is decently well for Sivir, in a sense that it allows her Ricochet Blades and her first ability to hit the people behind the front line. If the enemy team has super high range champions, it is too difficult for her to reach. And yeah. Tristana is weak until level 5, then she one-taps you. That is the blessing of the Tristana. Okay. And with this, we will end this for today. I thank you all for watching. Nearly 200 people. The new video goes live in 1 hour, so make sure to watch the video. It goes out at 1:30, like in exactly 48 minutes. 10 OP builds. I hope you're ready. And we'll see each other for more reviews soon. I also have a thing with Hell's Devil going, where I'll take a look at his gameplay and react to it. I'll react more to Royal, and we'll just take a look at more people on the leaderboard. Just make sure you get the best information possible to learn the most without suffering from matchmaking. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this, leave a comment, boost this video, boost the next incoming video as much as possible, and we'll see each other next time.